Since we last spoke, July 2020, I was releasing an episode that you were part of, Al-Wadi. I think you've been on my mind consistently every single episode since. And the reason for that, Gabrielle, is because your voice is magic. We're going to dive deep into a book that you sent me by mail, Impressions of My Youth in Lebanon. And this is not the only book you've written. There's another book I have at home that's sort of an earlier chapter, if you will. But I'm going to emphasize this book today. Let me start, though, before... Oh, there it is. Yeah, you've got it. From Mideast to Far East. You know, I'm glad we touched on that in the first episode together, about you being born in Japan, of all places. But before we get into your journey, before we get into Wadi Abu Jmeel and the whole Lebanese Jewish community story, I did something today, and I'd like to show you. I think I can share my screen with you. You should be able now to see my desktop.
Yeah.
And I decided to pull some strings and do this.
We're going on a Gaudreau. Very nice. Where are we? The trees on the right, I don't know, but on the left, those buildings might ring a bell. Where are we?
The truth is, Gabrielle, none of this is original, other than the size of the road, perhaps the size of the sidewalk too. There's only one thing that's original to this part of Beirut. It was a bit complicated, but I managed to get there today. And here it is. Yeah.
Really? Yes. Yes.
If you could imagine yourself walking into Megan Abraham right now, what is the mood like? Is it uplifting? Is it celebratory?
I wanted to go in already to see what's going on at the left, at the right. Yes, I know it like my own backyard. I would have liked to go inside, but that's even more moving to be inside because I don't know if they have any furniture there or...
Before the August 4 blast, it had been restored.
Yes. Yeah.
Post-blast, a lot of the infrastructure itself was damaged, and the furniture as well. It's been fully restored once more. But that's very recent. Actually, the guy I was speaking to today said it was very recent that they finally finished it again. So there is furniture inside. I want to go back in. It's just I have to coordinate so many.
I love that building and the columns and the archway with the yellow and white. I mean, I close my eyes, I see it in front of me. You know? I can practically hear the rabbi singing. I can hear the Hazan singing, and no, it's very moving for sure. Yeah. And then we had the balcony for the women up there, and we sat upstairs for special occasions. And yeah, it did not look so blue because we had now it's a bit bare. That's why. So so you can see the ceiling. Before we had so many lamps and lights and a huge chandelier that's amazingly gorgeous. They brought from Italy piece by piece, and they had to put it up together. It was magnificent.
These are illustrations you took time with, and there's even a note. There's a note in the book. 6 years.
Years, yes.
There's a reference in the book that you actually had to learn certain software, how to actually, yeah. But I'm curious, are these photos that you have that you're painting over? Okay, so these are your photos.
Yeah, some of them are my photos, some of them are some people's photos. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I had collected so many with my first book about 12 years ago when I did the tightrope walkers. Yes. I included 300 pictures, but I collected over 2,000 pictures. So I have a huge collection of photos, and I use some of them for this.
Well, let me start with the oldest impression in the book, which is a part of the Corniche that's gone, the old Normandy hotel.
Yes.
And a cafe that once stood next to the Normandy. And I think it's noted as Hamra Cafe, even though it's not in Hamra, but it's still...
it's called, Ahwet al-Hamra. That's where my grandfather took me. Yes, that's where my grandfather used to take me. He used to go and play shesh besh and have his ergile without having the wife and kids around him. And yes.
I was so stunned by this photo. So it's a time. This is part of the Corniche that's gone, completely erased. Yeah.
بس كان في قهوة الزاز هاي شو اسمها حج داود no next to the حمراء قهوة الحمراء كان في on the water but حج داود.
But that part of the Corniche, the way you illustrated it, I've only seen in photos because it was a landfill during the war.
I'm not coming to Beirut.
You're not coming to Beirut. That's it all rests on this cafe. It's gone.
No, but I mean, these are the places that I know, and this one you can't, and this one is not allowed, and this one is no more. Yeah. What am I coming for?
But this part of the city is something I will never experience. And this is due to the war. This was the landfill, the Normandy trash dump between West and East Beirut. But
the setting is still there. The Ahwe is still Ahwe. I mean,
land reclamation. Beirut now extends further.
I see. Okay.
So the old Corniche is no longer a Corniche. It's just a road. But I emphasize this. The reason I want you to be here is for you to actually see the snippets that are still here. Because just like Megan Avraham, there are little pieces left of your time. Your illustrations to me were as important as the text.
Of course.
So, and
that's why I insisted on putting them, and I took 6 years just for the illustrations. I mean, the writing comes very fast, but the drawing is something else.
There's an emphasis, I think, on community, and it's from page 1. And it's not just visual illustration. You're describing how your mom makes the sandwich Lebanese, and you're actually at times even you're in a way, it's quite fun. You're describing the stench of urine from men that are peeing on the side of the wall. You get very detailed. Are you sitting at home thinking back, or how does this come back to you?
It comes if you tell me or show me a picture, everything comes at the same time, not just visual, everything.
Mm.
I can hear it, I can smell it. Yeah, yeah. Because not far from our house, there was the bakery, Sarkis Bakery, and they used to have the best brioche ever. And next to it was the Arabic bakery that had the pita bread and things like that. But across the street was a place that had it was the yogurt factory, and it stank to high heavens. And further, a bit further, there was the washrooms, men's washrooms.
You do deliver things like Beirut did not smell like heaven in your youth. I mean, there are places that there was stench, and also
Yeah, I mean,
you
it
also
depends.
describe reckless driving on George Picot. I'm glad you did that, because it's not like Lebanese have been always. I mean, it's not something new. You made it really. You said it that people have been driving like crazy since the 40s and 50s.
I never learned how to drive in Beirut. There's no way. So petrified. No, no, it wasn't for me. Yeah.
So this in a way very small but stable community in downtown Beirut, and you're growing up at a time Lebanon is changing. So your youth and these years are really the first years of independence.
Yeah.
And it's very quick that you bring up instability, but the instability you bring up is not necessarily bad for an adolescent kid or for a child. It's actually fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump a bit. So there's sections of 1958 that you're talking about as a schoolgirl or as a teenager swimming and flirting.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can take me back to that kind of a story where you're seeing your world changing, but you're a kid and there's an innocence there too.
Definitely. And this is what I wanted to make sure. It looks very innocent. I mean, we were not conscious about the difficulties, but it didn't matter. We had bigger problems. Our biggest problems, did he smile at me? Did he see me? Did I look good to him? You know, these were our problems. Our parents' problems were something else. Yeah, we would know what they are and the politics and all that, but that wasn't for us. Yeah.
It's not that you're defying the narrative, you're just saying it as an individual, and in a way it's a very honest take on
Very innocent. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen this before. Geopolitics happening and a Lebanese girl and her friends kissing soldiers in the water. Now, may I ask you, Gabrielle, this caught me off guard. Is it a real story?
He still remembers it too.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we had boyfriends, but they were so silly and so not mature, not mature enough. And then you end up with these Marines who know what life is and who know how to handle a girl. Oh my God.
But you make it feel like it's really just you're in the water swimming and suddenly soldiers are swimming with you. Can you
That was 58. The Sixth Fleet was there, and I went with my dad to visit one of the carrier part of the Sixth Fleet. We went in, and there were submarines also and things like that. No, we went in to visit.
So you were able to actually approach the soldiers and go into their ship too. It was sort of an easy thing.
Yeah, but not the same approach
Yeah.
with my dad standing there. No.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah. So you went back with your friends. No, but I mean, it's in a way the beginning of the end of that innocent stage in Lebanese history. So this is 15 years after independence, and suddenly you have foreign Marines. And I like that you take it really as a girl in the sea, how she sees it.
Yeah.
But even before then, there's references to innocence in Wadi Abu Jmeel. And I like that you're buying your shoes from a cobbler and you describe him as a quiet man, not because he's shy, but because he's busy. He has so many nails in his mouth.
He's so busy. Yes, he
And
couldn't talk.
yeah, and even these sort of references like give this man time, he could build the Eiffel Tower if he had. But that's a Wadi Abu Jmeel that is you have to be there at that time because it's growing in downtown Beirut, but it's also maybe it's fragile. It's very
But
fragile.
it wasn't for us kids. It was not. It was you know, a warm place, and you felt at ease. You know, we felt at home there in all these streets in the surrounding areas. We were yeah, we were at ease.
At ease and also at ease with celebrating Jewish tradition. And these are
Oh,
the parts of the book I did not expect because in a way, if it's there are a few of these, if they're removed, it's just really a Lebanese story as I know it.
true,
When
true.
you
I
add
didn't want to remove it. No, I didn't want to remove them.
no, I'm really glad
It
they're
was
in there.
very important, yeah, to see who I am, and yeah.
So there's one, I think the first one, if I remember correctly, it comes at it's the Tube Spot festival.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's in
that's
February. Yeah.
Festival of Trees. Did I get this right?
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, I've never heard of this before.
No, it's not a big thing. It's really mostly for the kids, and you know, to celebrate trees and nuts and things. So for us, anything was a reason to celebrate and go to my grandparents. Yeah.
So this a smaller ceremony for kids like Tubspot.
Yeah.
If as far back as you can remember, was there a comfort in celebrating it too? In
Yeah,
other
every
words,
time we
you're not
went to my
hiding it.
grandparents, it was very comfortable because
Mm.
we met all my other cousins, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, so this is, I'm guessing, 1940s, a reflection from a little earlier, that this is a time where the Arab-Israeli conflict is not being felt necessarily directly in Wadi Abu Jmeel.
Yes, it was. No, I came back in 48.
In
So
48.
yeah, we went smack into the demonstrations on the streets, passing by my grandparents
So,
on Rue Georges Picot.
but
And
with
I wanted to go, I didn't mention it probably in the book because I just wanted it a bit light-hearted. But yeah, of course, I wanted to go outside on that long, long balcony to watch the demonstration go by, and my mother grabbed me and took me in, and I was crying and fighting like a demon. But yeah, they were shooting up in the air, and no, it was an ugly scene.
Gabrielle, would it be something like you're celebrating a festival indoors with family and friends, and then outdoors you're seeing things change up close? Is it that sort of blunt that outside is riskier than inside? Because these are the most. I'm trying to feel how it would have been for you.
No,
Mm,
as kids, we ignored the
mm,
hardship. You know,
mm.
our parents' problems were huge. For us, no, we ignored it. That was nothing to do with us. You know, we felt nice and safe within the family, within the community, within the society, within the area, within everything. Yeah.
The reason I want to unlayer this as much as I can is because you see both as a child. You're aware that the parents are frightened.
Oh, definitely.
Is that something at home you would hear them talking about what's happening?
For sure. But
Mm.
if it was really bad, then my parents switched to Japanese, and then we knew that it was really serious. If they don't want the kids to understand, it must be very serious.
That's fascinating. So they would speak in Japanese when, oh, that's incredible.
Yes.
I
They
think
didn't want to worry.
you're the only Lebanese family that switches to Japanese when they don't want people to understand. That's incredible. So you have those memories of Japanese when there's something wrong outside.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. On the news, if something is bad in the news, yeah, they would chat in Japanese for sure.
There's something wrong outside and there's something wrong at home, but you're still innocent and you're rejecting it.
Yeah.
You take us to Ale several times. And
Mhm.
Ale to me is where everyone goes in those years to spend their summers. And you actually you describe how a family would take all their furniture from Beirut to Ale at a time where people didn't have two homes or they didn't have two sets of furniture. People are taking their fridge up to Ale too.
Bridge was a dramatic thing. Yeah.
No, but even the poor guy that you described trying to like take the fridge up, you feel bad for
I
him.
can still see him, with just sweat coming down and always with a smile. Poor guy. Anyway,
But
yeah.
what was Ale for you as a child? Was it also this kind of adventure away from the city? Or was it really
Well,
more like your parents want you to
vacation,
go?
summer vacation, a great summer vacation. And I mean, we all went there. So that means I found lots of friends up there too. They all moved up for the summer and they all came down after the high holidays. Yes.
And also that these are not, there's a mixture of friends, but they're also Lebanese Jews with you in Ale. And I wanted to understand, you mentioned a synagogue several times in Ale.
Ale is down here,
Oh,
but I can send you this picture, but that's the inside.
I'd love that photo, yes. You're describing Purim festivities and this kind of open display of festivities,
Yeah.
not just, and it's not at home, these are in courtyards. I think the one that you describe is not in Ale necessarily, it's in Wadi Abu Jmeel. And
That's right.
yeah,
It's
and
under the Talmud Torah. There was a big space right behind the synagogue, Magen Avraham synagogue, and yeah, that's where we used to have it.
how do you, if you're thinking back now to this kind of festivity as a child,
Yes.
you described it in a warm way, that this is exactly how you would want this tradition to be celebrated. Why does it stand out to you? Because you make this reference a few times. You want people to experience these holidays the way you did growing up.
Purim is usually like a festival for kids because they can dress up. A lot of the girls dress up as Esther, Queen Esther, because it's the story of Esther. And a lot of the boys as Mordechai, her uncle, and yeah. But I mean, then it became a free for all. So you'd see the cowboys, and you see the Indians with the feathers on their head, and all sorts of things. So it lost its religious connotation, but it was just okay. Let's dress up. It's like Halloween all over again,
But you've seen these festivities in multiple cities. You've
Yeah.
been, and you make reference to this, and I like it, that something like you've been on 4 continents, you've seen holidays throughout the world, but the ones in Lebanon you hold dearly. What is it about the Lebanese experience to you that makes it feel better? Because sorry, please. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the warmth of the community. It's really the togetherness, the sharing. It was like one big family. And my kids, my girls, I have 3 daughters, and they always ask me, how do you remember so many people? When we lived together, we went to school, to the same school. We knew their father, mother, grandparents, and then I became a teacher at the Alliance as well. So I know the little ones and the next generation also. So I remember them all like, and like very good friends. It's not like you go to a school and you don't know who's who, and
Yeah.
maybe yeah.
But you're very young and you have an appreciation for that.
Yes.
That I don't think is quite common. That you're able to, in a way, measure the families, and you once sent me a drawing of how you remember where families lived in Wadi Abu Jmeel.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
But
yes.
it's
I
almost like,
did a whole big thing. Yes,
yeah, and it's
yeah,
precision memory. So,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I have a very photographic visual memory for sure.
but
And
is
I
this,
remember where people lived and whose grandmother lived where.
uh,
I'm nosy.
but where does that come from, Gabrielle? Is it from your father as a storyteller that you're enchanted by it?
Sure, for sure.
Mm.
He was Mukhtar at one point. He was Mukhtar of the Lebanese community in the 50s. And he knew everybody, and he knew their story, and he knew their parents and grandparents and their kids and the grandkids. Yeah. And the warmth really comes through at all times.
It always comes through, even in the more delicate impressions. There's warmth inside, and there's also warmth temperature wise. You make reference quite frequently of the teenage hormones, which I thought is fantastic. You're going to the St. George and you're wondering, is it where the frustrations come from in this country? I'm going to let you move on from here because I'm embarrassed to bring this up.
You're embarrassed what you want me to say. Sorry.
Well, tell me about you going to the St. George and
Yeah.
hormones, because you mention it several times.
I
There's
mean,
a, yeah.
you're seeing all these handsome guys, all muscles and all that. I described every single muscle in their body. What more do you want?
I mean,
I was really looking. I was eating them up with my eyes. What do you want?
you were. And what I like about you is that you have no shame. You throw your friends under the bus. Whoever's doing anything, they're mentioned by name in the book. And it's fun.
I told her. I
Oh,
mentioned
she knows.
Yeah, she knows.
Oh, good for, was it Cecile? I think Cecile is always with the boys, and you're kind of.
I'm not going to repeat. You can read it again.
But there's this also, it's an innocence towards St. George, because St. George for many years now has been shut down. The activities around it have reopened, but it's not this little gem on the coast that it once was. And I enjoy that you're taking me back to an innocent time also for something like the St. George.
We did not go to the Saint Georges because we couldn't afford it. So we were kids. So we went to the Bain Français right next door. And once there, we swam all the way, reckless. It was reckless. But we swam all the way to the Saint Georges because it was more fun.
But this is also an innocent way of dealing with Lebanon, that you're a child kind of butting into a boutique hotel's beach, but it's fun. There's no tragedy yet, meaning that it hasn't you hear it in the background, but it's not impacting your life yet. Lebanon is changing rapidly, and you're being thrown into the 20th century, if you will. And that's where it begins to get wobbly, where you become, in a way, you make reference to slurs and you hear them. And I think you hear them in Alay.
Yeah, we were young at the time. And this happened actually. but I mean, nothing came out of that. But I mean, my friend, I still up till now, I said, how were you able to say Awusni? She stood there in front of me, Awusni. Awusni. He had a rifle. I mean, of course he will do it.
But Gabrielle, how exactly does something like this happen? That you just find somebody on the street cursing at you or trying to be demeaning, and then that's so could you, and it's an odd thing to bring up many years later, but that kind of texture is in the book. Can you bring it to life as much as you can, where how you're seeing your identity exposed in a
But
way?
we didn't have that much of this kind of encounters, you know, where openly they would say, you're a Jew, go back, go away, or something like that. We're not afraid of you, or something. We didn't really encounter that much. Maybe in more covert wording, maybe, yes. But that we were very young. We were teenagers, and we were on our way for a nice outing. It just so happened. And so he says, well, you're just a bunch of Jews. I can just tack, 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 and shoot you, you know? And so my friend Celia stands there and she says, okay, shoot me. Awusni. And then the boys came back, my brother and cousin came back, and these guys ran away.
Is that the first time, because it comes up, kind of comes up out of nowhere in the book, that there's this pleasant experience that's suddenly interrupted?
No, me personally, I did not have that many of this kind of encounters happening. We felt it, but it was like more covert, more, you know, under. But I went to the Lycée Français afterwards, and Christians and Muslim, and I still pick up the pictures of them, and I try to remember their name with a friend of mine, you know. I had Jad Tabit in my class. His dad was the architect of the Saint Georges.
Right.
We
Yeah.
had
Wow.
Jad Tabit.
Yeah.
I think he became also an architect, but I
Yeah.
lost track.
Wow.
There was a Souli, there was a Hisham Tawil, there was Antoine Kerbej. These are all my friends from the lycée. I remember them like it was yesterday. I might not recognize them now, but I remember how they looked like at the time.
But I'm glad you're emphasizing something.
Yeah.
But you're also emphasizing something, that the identity was not necessarily it wasn't under threat, that you were able to be yourself to a large degree. But is there any other recollection of you experiencing that kind of, let's say, not necessarily an attack, but it's more like you're being spoken to in a different way because you're Jewish? Is there any other example other than those incidents like in Ale that you can sort of think about, right? And they come back to you?
No, I did not really experience it, but I know that people did experience it. For instance, if I went to Paris and went back and taught at the Alliance, so I didn't really go into the world of work in Beirut. I did not do that. But other girls like me who tried to find positions to work, they could not work anywhere. They had to work just for other Jewish people as well, you know, because there was a constant fear of something happening.
So
and
in a way,
of course, if we reach 71, that's something else. That this was
actually, I'll save that for the end, because the book somehow, and I think this is a deliberate decision, it leaves you waiting for everything to fall apart, and it doesn't. Suddenly we're in Montreal. We'll get there towards the end, because I thought that was a interesting sort of way of avoiding.
My next book, I'm already at chapter 12, and I'll be writing more about this part.
Oh God, you're writing another book.
I'm sorry. I've got so much to say, and people seem to be interested in what I'm saying and the way I'm saying it. And for me, it's important. I mean, if people don't want to read it, that's okay. But I want to leave it for my children and my grandchildren.
I will emphasize another holiday, Seder, or the Seder dinner. And
the Passover Seder, yeah.
Sorry, Passover Seder. Yeah, I was trying to emphasize my little Hebrew that I know. This this Passover Seder dinner seemed like it's the most important of these family traditions.
Yeah, it's a huge dinner, huge. And we tell the whole story of the Exodus from Egypt and all that. And at my grandparents, it was gigantic. I mean, I don't know. I have a picture of it. This is an actual picture, and I'm there, and my family is there.
Oh, that is an actual photo. Oh,
yes, okay. Yes.
So this is the one I have of the family.
That's right. Yeah. Singing or praying was a mix of Hebrew and Arabic, and the two languages are so close. So yeah.
You also make reference to it that your Hebrew was not so advanced as a child. I mean, you kind of just you knew what was happening, but you were rushing to get back to French and Arabic, or at least the Lebanese way of talking, praying between Arabic and Hebrew, and also speaking French among your friends. There's like a very expanded, flexible identity there. You can be everything.
A bit of everything, yeah.
There's no reference to any burial or any funeral. May I ask, is that just by chance, or is that a deliberate?
No, it wasn't deliberate, but girls and women didn't go to funerals, to the cemetery. But I knew the cemetery well because the older Lycée Français was right beside it. The first, I mean, we passed by it every morning to go to school. And the first tomb in there, the first plaque there, the first name you could see from the street was my aunt. That's my Esther Elia, who is my dad's oldest sister. That was the very first spot there.
So walking into the cemetery, that's the first name you would see walking in.
Right. Yeah, if you go up the stairs, that's the first one. I mean, we never went in because we were not allowed, but you could see it from the street from down there.
After I went to Magen Avraham, I also pulled strings everywhere to try to get into the cemetery officially, not sort of the wrong way. And unfortunately, I wanted to be there for the, seen and comfortable, not hiding. And it was early. It was actually a sunny day in the morning. It was a Sunday morning. And it's the first time I've seen it with other people. And it was the way I think it's as close as I can get to entering a cemetery that's still being used, if you will. May I ask, are there other close relatives buried there as well?
Yes, thank you for sending me the site of the list. I went on and I checked just for curiosity's sake. Apart from the Elia, I have my aunt. That's my dad's sister, and his brother and another sister are buried there. Rachel and Raful are there as well.
Those are the relatives, the ones that appeared via the website. Those are
Wait, I have more. Yeah, I have more.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the list, and my grandfather, who was born in Deir al-Amar, is there. Also, his sister, Farid Isrur, the family is Isrur from Deir al-Amar. They were all born in Deir al-Amar, but ended up in Beirut. And his two brothers, Musa or Moise, and Skandar. There, I discovered that all four of them are in there as well. And
I'm
there are
glad.
quite a few Srur.
Yes, so you're mentioning Srur. There's
According to the list, yeah, there are about 150 easily. Yeah, but I discovered four of them that I knew. Yeah.
I may have mentioned this before. I was familiar with the last Lebanese Jew living in Wadi Abu Jmeel after the war
Yes.
ended. And her name was Lisa Srur Nahmoud.
Yes.
So she went by Lisa.
Srur is her maiden name, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew her well. I knew her for many years, and I knew. I saw her days before she passed away. Maybe now about 10 years ago or so, and these are moments that I feel so slow and naive. It didn't even occur to me that she's buried in the cemetery, and I found her tomb.
She should be. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it.
You found her?
I found her.
Found?
I'll send you a photo actually of her tomb. I had all written in Hebrew, and I had someone show me because he knew.
Yes.
He had made it happen, and I went to visit her tomb, and for me, it suddenly became part of my life. Somebody I know who's buried there recently.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you spoke with her, and you went up to her place. Yeah.
Yes, and I just felt like I missed out on something. Of course, she's buried there. Where else would she be buried? But this is also something I think in the psyche, that there is this giant cemetery, yet we walk by it or drive by it. No one thinks, I think, automatically that, oh yeah, there's people still being buried there. Yeah. It's missing from history, or it's locked in time. There's a
yeah, it is locked in time, as a monument is locked in time, for sure. Yes. This brings us back to the first question you asked me: how can one be Lebanese and Jewish at the same time? Well, this is it. I mean, you find Magen David in Lebanon. Yeah, we were there. We were there. There's no way your generation knows that they were Jews, and I mean, quite a healthy community, very well structured, and no, they don't know that we existed. No.
I appreciate that you deliberately jump from adolescence to your life in Montreal, and there's a mention to Dali's clock or Dali's time, where you kind of, I think you even, you refer to it as mega drawers, that you're in a way packing up erratically. There's disarray. You're quick to point out you're not in Lebanon, but there's a section of your life, it's mentioned briefly, that you do teach in the Alliance, and then you're gone. You're simply, it's over, and you're in Montreal, meeting former students that reach out to you. And there's one individual named Marcel who reaches out and comes over, and you made it clear that you're connected still with this part of your.
We're still connected. He lives in Florida. We're still connected. He went to Lebanon recently, I think in the spring.
Oh.
And he brought back so many pictures. I was drooling over them. Gorgeous pictures. He went all over the place taking pictures. Yeah. So it was like a trip of a lifetime.
But let me end this with the most challenging question then. You refer to Dali's clock. You refer to time sort of in a standstill. You leave quickly. And that chapter of your story, anyone that's listening or watching, go to El Wadi, because you go deep. into losing your father, trying to figure out where he is. You do everything you can, but then the standstill begins, where there's a disconnect. I don't know why you haven't come back since. This reference to physical concerns now is recent, but in the last half century, why have you not made one trip home? This is really my own
I
pure
think it
personal.
hurts more than well, you just said it. For instance, قهوة الحمرا من هون حاج داود ما في. All these things have disappeared. What am I going to see? The rest of Lebanon will probably remind me a lot of what it was before, but Beirut has changed drastically. I could be, I don't know, maybe in Dubai, because Dubai wants to be Beirut now. So I don't know. With all these high rises going up and all that, it's not my Beirut, you see. It's not my Beirut. Lebanon is still Lebanon, but the Beirut that I knew is not there. I don't know. Hamra, the area is still there with the movie theater and.
The movies are gone, but yes, there is still I mean, it's changed immensely, but there is still the shopping district, Hamra. It is not the same Hamra I grew up in. That was not the same Hamra that you remember either. But I
and they had all sorts of cafes, El Dorado Cafe, Horseshoe Cafe. I don't know.
That is still there, but it's not a horseshoe anymore. I remember a horseshoe.
Yeah?
It became many other things. There's still a cafe there. I believe it's Costa or something like that now, some international chain. But it's
the cafes along the Grotto Pigeon, are they still there?
The cafes of those years are not there anymore, unfortunately. The newer
still have some overlooking the Rausha.
Yes, Rausche, which you actually we didn't get into this, but you met. Yeah, I like you just call it the Rock. Yeah, it's true. It's rocks. You're right. You're right. Those are still there.
It's the rocks.
Those cafes are there, and I mean, they're more touristy than anything, but they're there. But you know, Gabrielle, I always imagined an answer. I don't know if this is the real reason why, that somebody like me got to discover this country because there's a lot of family here. There's a lot of extended family here, and it kind of offered a footing. You make friends later, but the family is around. Am I right in suggesting that when the family is gone, that also makes it less appealing too? It's not just about buildings or neighborhoods disappearing, that the relatives you had, the ones that you loved, right?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you go to see family for sure, but I mean, I make friends very easily, and I feel at home anywhere. But Lebanon Beirut has a different connotation to me, and I think it would hurt me more to go there and not find what I want, not find the part where I grew up. You know, I know the buildings are all gone, not only in the Wadi, Rue Georges Picot is all
yeah.
No, that would be very sad for me. Of course, the touristy areas, if you go on the Rausha or you go to Baalbek or Jezin or wherever, I mean, I took you around the country quite a bit. Those places, I'm sure, I hope, are still the way they are. They'll still be, instead of being around the TV or around multimedia stuff, they will be still people telling tales. And that's how we grew up. We listened to my father tell stories.
You mentioned Omar Zanni last time, a guy with a radio show. And you remembered how he started that show. You remembered it word for word.
That was an audio show. Yeah. الدنيا قصص وحكايات وكليلة ودمنة وذكريات. I love it. I just love that. That's exactly, I mean, that's how I feel.
Is that really because at the end of the day, you witnessed not just a storyteller at home, who was sharing his own stories of his generation, your father, and not just a broadcaster on the radio trying to offer the same thing, but that in a way you were capturing, whether by accident or not, a community's moment, a community's very, very narrow window in modern Lebanese history. And that story quickly faded.
Yeah, unfortunately faded, yes. But it's still well alive and well all around the world. And I mean, I have lots of friends just spread all over the world. You can count it from Hong Kong to Brazil to Panama and Italy and anywhere in Europe, in England. I mean, we're still in touch and we still speak the same multilingual languages, and we still share pictures and we still try to guess who was that? Who were you dancing with? Who is that in the background? Anyway, no, it's fun. It's fun. I keep very happy memories for sure of Lebanon, in spite of everything else that happened later on. This I love. وبالفيات غنينا وعالميات تلاقينا وعالأغصان محله ينسانا الطير الشادي. I love بالفيات غنينا. It's a whole picture. I mean, I can paint it. It's just there. And then عالميات تلاقينا. I mean, who needs any more? With 2 words, you've got the whole scene there. The whole picnic is open in front of you. It's wonderful.
When you sing these songs,
that's it for my.
No. When you sing these songs, it's different than when I hear other people singing it. It's because I know how long you've been away. I know that you've been gone for over half a century. You haven't been in this country, but you know the lyrics by heart, and they
well, I make a point to know them too, because I love to listen to them again and again, And there's a new one to me, new of Aline Lahoud. Do you know Aline Lahoud? She sings beautifully. No. How can you not know her?
Now I want you to sing a song from her.
Yeah, well, no, I can't sing it because she's got a voice that's just fantastic. I mean, خدني معك على درب بعيدة ومطرح ما كنا أولاد صغار. That's my book.
That is your book.
ودفي خريفي بشمس جديدة ونسيني يوم صرنا كبار. نسيني يوم صرنا كبار. That's my book. That's all of my book. Of course, she says دفي ربيعي بشمس جديدة, but I'm going to say دفي خريفي بشمس جديدة. It's much more like it. But you have to listen to her. She sings it beautifully.
Gabrielle, if it were up to me, if it was my choice, I would be doing this in person with you, not in Montreal, here. And short of you not coming back because of the memories that you remember, they're not here anymore, I will see you in Montreal. We're going to make this happen. But I want to say, really, any chance to talk to you this way or just over the phone, the way we've done, it's a treasure. And this book,
thank you.
is incredible
You're
because
a true Lebanese. I'm not used to such compliments. Be careful. Yeah, this book is on Amazon, but I don't know if you can get it in Lebanon.
I'm going to put the links in the episode. Anyone that wants to get this book, they can click on the link. I look forward to the next book too.
Thank you.
I look forward to those more difficult years in your next book, and we'll do another episode then. Thank you so much, Gabrielle.
Thank you very much.